What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the LTL podcast. This is episode 33 and is July 19th, 2023. On tonight's episode, we're going to continue our coverage in the Rex Heuermann. He's the gentleman that has been accused and arrested of being the Long Island serial killer. We also, before we get into that too, there has been an update in the Tupac Shakur murder case. So we're going to get into that first, but I want to welcome everybody into the live chat this evening. If you're watching this live, you'll be able to chat live. And if you're watching this on replay, I really would appreciate if you go down in the comments and I always say smash. I mean to say comment, hashtag replay. And as you know, I download these episodes and re-upload them a couple of days later to get out into that algorithm and pull in some new people into the channel. So it's 10,000 subscribers or bust. 10,000 subscribers or bust. I want to welcome everybody into the live chat. We have Simba here, Jessica's here, Dina is here. Good to see you all here. I think I saw Victorine here a couple minutes ago. Lily Black is in the room. Good to see you. Victorine is here as well. And we have Detective John. Says, hello, Brian and everyone. What's going on, buddy? How are you? All right, let's get into the heart of the show here. We have a little bit of an update in the Tupac Shakur murder case, not murder trial, maybe a trial soon with this new evidence. But today from Los Angeles Times, Tupac Shakur killing, Las Vegas area searched linked to a man who claims he was in the car with the killer. Let's see. A home in Las Vegas suburbs searched Monday night by Las Vegas police in connection with the unsolved slaying of Tupac Shakur is tied to a man who previously said publicly he was in the car with the shooter, sources have told the Times. In a reviewed investigation into the 1996 shooting death of hip-hop legend, Las Vegas detectives obtained a search warrant from a judge and along with a SWAT team pulled up in a procession of law enforcement vehicles to Henderson, Nevada home. Using a bullhorn, a supervisor with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department ordered the residents to come out with their hands up and empty, according to security cam footage from a neighboring home. God, would I love to get that security cam footage. I would love to get it. Investigators then enter the house where they sought computers, files, and other items potentially related to Shakur's killing, according to a source familiar with the investigation who is not authorized to comment on it publicly. A statement issued Tuesday by Las Vegas police is the first time in years that any law enforcement agency has publicly revealed it is actively pursuing inquiries in the September 7th, 1996 shooting. LVMPD can confirm a search warrant was served in Henderson, Nevada on July 17, 2023 as part of an ongoing investigation, the statement said. We will have no further comment at this time. Las Vegas police has refused to confirm the address that was searched, but sources and the public records indicate the home is connected to a relative of Dwayne Keith or Keith D. Davis. In his book, Compton Street Legend, Davis, a self-described Southside Compton Crips gang member, said he was inside the car that pulled alongside Shakur just off the Las Vegas Strip and opened fire. He has never identified the gunman. Davis said that his uncle of Orlando Anderson, another Crips member, identified early on as a suspect in Shakur's slaying. Anderson was killed in a gang shooting in Compton a year and a half after Shakur's death. Neither Davis nor the listed residents of the home returned phone calls on Wednesday. Nevada does not have a statute of limitations for preceding homicide cases and can, under certain circumstances, hold responsible those in the gateway vehicle, even if they did not pull the trigger. This is fantastic for this case. This is absolutely fantastic. Maybe we get some justice in this case. I think it's great that this new leads have come out and they actually feel confident enough to arrest. Shakur was gunned down while riding in a BMW driven by Marion Suge Knight, the then owner of Shakur's record label, has led to a procession of luxury vehicles past the MGM Grand Hotel, Caesar's Palace, and on their way to a new nightclub. It was after 11 p.m. on Saturday when the BMW paused at a Flamingo Road in Corval Lane, a block from the Vegas Strip. Shakur was flirting with a woman in a nearby car, unaware that a white Cadillac had quickly pulled alongside the BMW. A hand emerged from the Cadillac, pointing a semi-automatic pistol right at Shakur. 4 gunshots struck the legendary hip-hop artist, and 1 grazed Knight. Shakur died from the injuries 6 days later. He was only 25. Despite the investigation by both Vegas and Los Angeles police, as well as a federal agencies, plus myriad theories, including conflicts, no one has ever been arrested in the killing. Las Vegas police previously investigated Anderson in connection with the slaying. He'd been identified as having been involved in a physical altercation with Knight, Shakur, and his bodyguards on the night of the fatal shooting. Anderson, 21, was a member of the Southside Crips. Shakur and Knight were affiliated with a rival Compton gang, the mob Prius Bloods. Shakur's bodyguards were also members of the Bloods. Shakur's death and that of New York rival Notorious B.I.G., who had slain 6 months after Shakur, had been long the subject of conspiracy theories and documentaries, including U.S. networks Unsolved, A&A Who Killed Tupac, and a 2015 movie of murder rap inside Biggie and Tupac's murders. Last month, Shakur received a Star on Hollywood Walk of Fame. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2017, the first year of eligibility. So that's a little bit of update here in the Tupac investigation. I think this is really great that they've reopened that case. It was just someone that was very, very talented in and around that time, and someone that just should not have lost his life at such an early age. Now, we all know what kind of problems and struggles he had, but he didn't deserve to be murdered. So hopefully we have some type of, we have some time to link in this investigation, in this case finally, and maybe we can start getting in the right direction of justice. But this is certainly something that I'm going to continue to follow here on the channel. You know that. And it's really great. I really feel great about this. And yeah, absolutely, Deb. You know, I think we all have a little bit of that. I mean, if you're a 90s person, you know, if we're you know, from the 90s, if you're a Gen Xer, then you definitely remember his music. It was very, very influential. It was very touching. And you know, maybe we get in the right direction of finally solving this terrible crime. You know, and I'm sure, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of inside people involved in this. You know, I wouldn't even believe, you know, allegedly if Suge Knight knew anything about this or had set it up. I wouldn't be surprised. John says he predicted his own murder in his lyrics. Yeah, and then there was the whole thing about Machiavelli. You know, the whole Machiavelli angle. So that's that. Yeah, Thug Passion. That's right. Thug Passion. All right, let's get into Rex Heuermann. There's a new article that popped up today, and this girl is making the waves around the interwebs right now. But a known, I guess you would say, call girl, woman who dated Rex Heuermann, says he wouldn't stop talking about the Gilgo Beach murders, and it freaked her out. I saw her on several news stations today. I saw her on several YouTube channels today. She gave, I think, a full hour to what's the channel? True Crime. I forget what it is, but I saw it pop up really quick while I was on my break at work today. So TikTok post of Nikki Brass, who had a frightening date with Gilgo Beach serial killer murder suspect Rex Heuermann nearly 10 years ago in Port Jefferson. Almost 10 years ago, a woman dated Gilgo Beach murder suspect Rex Heuermann turned creepy. Do you like true crime? He asked over seafood. Do you know anything about the Gilgo Beach killer? Gee, I asked people if they like true crime, but I'm definitely not a serial killer. Heuermann weirded me out. She remembered I didn't want dessert. Well, yeah, obviously. Maybe it was his announcement obsessed with true crime, or he couldn't stop talking about Gilgo Beach serial killings. and he knew things about the case that hadn't been in papers. But nearly 10 years ago, Nikki Brass, then in her mid-20s, hit the brakes hard, and she called her what she calls her date with Rex Heuermann, the Long Island, New York man charged with the killings of 3 sex workers and leaving their bodies to rot in an underbrush along a bayfront highway. As she put it in TikTok posts from Monday through her account, your_recovery_stylist, he really weirded me out. I didn't want dessert. She remembered of hightailing it out of the dinner. Heuermann, 59, a father of 2, was arrested last week after a federal, state, and local investigators linked him to the Long Island cold case through a cache of evidence. His wife actually filed for divorce today. So she must know something's up, or she doesn't want to be wrapped up in this and all. And there's been some speculation now that they're actually getting investigated as well, too. What did she know? She met him on one of those sketchy sites back then, Brass 34 joked in The Insider on Tuesday, of dating websites she frequented while living on Long Island. I just want the girls to understand how dangerous those sites can be, the hairstylist and mom, who lives in New England, said why she's coming forward, including The Insider and Good Morning America's, which will air on interview her on Wednesday morning. Brass, like many Long Islanders, followed closely and then unsolved Gilgo Beach serial murder, including 4 petite young women sex workers, all in their 20s, whose death prosecutors have alleged were committed by a single client, Heuermann, a Manhattan architect. What freaked Brass out the most about Heuermann, he knew about the victims whose death at the time of their dates and who hadn't been publicized yet, she said. So I don't really know where to totally begin with this, Brass began, nervously describing the date on Monday's TikTok post. It was anywhere from 2014 to 2016, she said. And a part of me thinks I should go to the cops and talk to them because he did say information that was let out in the public, she said. It honestly, that's what made me lose the date. She said of her decision to bail because I knew I was watching the news and I was following the case. They met at a place in Port Jeff, she said on Monday in Monday's post, meaning a town of Port Jefferson, 15 minutes drive from where Heuermann lived with his family in Massapequa Park. A seafood place, she said. And I kind of had a bad feeling to begin with, but I don't always trust my gut. I was young and dumb, so I went, she said, giving the camera a weary smile. Dinner began with a drink, and then what she called normal conversation. What do you do? Then he asked her, what are your hobbies? And then he brought up, are you into true crime? I mean, that's something that I say to people too, but it definitely doesn't make me a serial killer. He was like, are you a true crime fan? It's pretty normal questions. And like, actually, I am. I could probably tell you more about serial killers than their own mother can. It's bad. Heuermann then asked, a question in retrospect now sounds chilling. Well, do you know anything about the Gilgo Beach killer? Of course, she remembered answering. Everything on Long Island, everyone on Long Island does, she told him. We're all following the case. Heuermann started spouting off his knowledge of the case, she said, and then knew a lot, including, she said, about a body that wasn't mentioned in the news yet. Wow, that's chilling. It was just not him, she said, adding that Heuermann's description led her to believe that now there were other people involved. He's taking the fall for it, I think, all of them, she said. So she thinks that someone else is involved just by the way that he was talking. Oh, I'm sure there's probably tons of open homicides to talk Detective John. I know that he did own property in this area. That's something I definitely want to look into, what kind of where. The architect was very detailed, she said, of his knowledge of Gilgo Beach case, and she spoke. It seemed like he was reliving it in his head. He seemed like excited, like it was peak of his interest. And he sat up straighter. Brass changed the subject, and he tried to speed things along, she said. When dinner ended, Heuermann asked, well, do you want to come back to my place? Brass hesitated. I don't know, she told him. I'll have to follow you in my car. No. He said, he insisted, get in my car with me, leave your car here. Yeah, good thing she didn't. I'm not going to leave my car in a random lot in Port Jefferson, she said. Heuermann kept trying to persuade her into the car. I'll be fine, no big deal, just come with me. she said and told her. When Brass stood her ground, telling Heuermann that she didn't feel comfortable getting into his car alone with a stranger, he turned angry and insistent, she said. That made him even more like, I got to get out of here. Brass shaked her finger at the camera and was, as she closes the post with her thought, thank God I trusted my gut, left after the check came and never spoke with me and him again. So, wow, could have been potentially, if this gentleman, if this gentleman is involved in this, I really want to call him a gentleman. So, but if this person is involved in these crimes, then definitely should get out of there in time. So, little update there. I'm going to look at the chat real quick and see what everybody's saying. Yeah, any open homicides? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm definitely not sure, but probably I would think so. Yeah. All right, let's pull up this next here. So obviously now we're hearing some inklings that they're investigating in Las Vegas. They're investigating in South Carolina. I heard that they might even be looking back at cold cases back to 1982. So I want to throw this up I want to throw a poll up there because I'm hearing a lot about this now. Do you think the Long Island serial killer acted alone? Because we're hearing a lot about this now. All right, poll at the top. I'm going to drop that now. All right, I'm going to pop that at the shot. Hey, Laura, how are you? Hope your game is going well. I hope your game's going well. Poll at the top. Do you think the Long Island serial killer acted alone? Because that has been some inklings that they haven't acted alone, or this person hasn't acted alone. I'd see what you guys think.
New developments tonight in the Gilgo Beach serial murder case out of Long Island, New York. As we first reported last night, suspected killer Rex Heuermann has ties to Las Vegas. 13 Chief Investigator Darcy Spears explores what that could mean for cold cases in our community.
We've confirmed with Metro that they are aware of Rex Heuermann's connection to Las Vegas. Police say as a result, they are currently reviewing
DJ, links in the chat
cases
if you want to jump on, man, and hang out.
Any involvement.
Absolutely.
Heuermann and his wife own a timeshare condo at Club de Soleil on Tropicana Avenue and Lindell Road. Property records show they bought it in 2005 for $17,000. The 59-year-old New York architect was arrested and charged late last week with murdering multiple sex workers.
Rex Heuermann was, in fact, the individual responsible for, at minimum, the deaths of 3 women.
Heuermann has pleaded not guilty to the killings of Melissa Bartolome, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello, whose remains were unearthed near Long Island's Gilgo Beach in 2010. Police say he's also the prime suspect in the 2007 disappearance and killing of a fourth woman, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, though he has yet to be charged in the case.
Some of the searches that we saw that he was doing is alarming. It's very, very concerning. And once again, as I have to make sure that everybody understands that it's a very good thing that we got this animal off the streets.
New York authorities are investigating all of Heuermann's whereabouts and conduct from the time the first bodies were discovered in 2010 up through his arrest on July 13th. The investigation could include Las Vegas. Prosecutors in New York found more than 200 guns in a vault in Heuermann's home there. CNN is reporting authorities in New York are also looking for items that could be souvenirs from the killings, things Heuermann may have hidden from his family. Suffolk County executed a number of search warrants, but we don't yet know whether any of them have been here in Las Vegas. We asked New York and Las Vegas authorities if they're searching.
That's pretty good, though. That's 8th is good. 8th is good. That's great. So my friend Laura here, we'll just get off subject really quick here. Let me just bounce this out. I just want to pause this. I got shit from this last time for recognizing one of my friends in the chat room. Oh, I think it's rude that you went on and talked about one of your friends, but this is big news. So my friend Laura here, she's a professional poker player, and she played just recently in the World Series of Poker, and she's saying she just finished last night. She finished 8th last night. That's really good. Congratulations. I mean, I know you didn't win, but you placed 8th is placing pretty good in the money run there. So Congratulations, Laura.
I bet she's got some rooms comp there, Brian.
Yeah, I would say so.
Out there, bro.
I would say I've actually seen, I follow her on Twitter, but yeah, they fly her in for events. That's how good she is.
Yeah.
And I
I was
told
just
Laura,
there. I stayed at the Venetian, and it's pretty.
And I
play
told
ball
Laura sometime that she's got to brush me up on my game. She's got to teach me some pointers. So definitely. But let's pull this back up and keep continuing with this coverage here. Maybe we'll pull up the PCA and look at some of that tonight, because I know that's crazy.
Heuermann's timeshare property at Club de Soleil, neither would comment on that.
There are currently important investigative steps that are continuing and ongoing.
Sources tell 13
know.
Investigates
Absolutely.
Metro has a number of cold cases involving sex workers. We've asked how many of those unsolved crimes there are, and we are still waiting for that information. Metro is not giving any interviews about the current case at this time. As we continue investigating, we found Heuermann may have owned a second timeshare in Las Vegas. Our records search shows that in 2012, Heuermann and his wife sold a property for $51,000 to Wyndham Vacation Resorts. That property on Harmon and Koval is currently called Wyndham Grand Desert. We called them for comment, but have not heard back. Darcy Spears, 13 Investigates.
So, John, I have a question for you, and I actually thought about this today. And this is the stuff that I think's really worrying me. And we touched on this a little bit last night. So I get a question. I'd love to hear what you think on this. And this is clearly speculation. But the thing that really frightens me about this, let's say this guy, if the accused, and he is the person that did this, and we're just allegedly saying, we know that he had it seems like he had a asphyxiation on female sex workers. Okay. Those are the bodies that have turned up on Gilgo Beach. Now, knowing that he has a property in Las Vegas, this would almost be, and pardon the expression, would be like prime pickings for him out there. It's very scary to know that he had this property. And I think it's things that they're going to probably want to look at. How many times was he traveling back and forth to Vegas? Because I'm sure, and it's sad, I'm sure there's a lot of sex workers that turn up dead, and they're not, able to find someone. But this may open some new leads to these cold cases. Am I correct on this, or?
Well, it seemed, and I can't remember for the life of me who said it, but I was listening to somebody else, and they were talking about, and then a major news outlet said that property was a condo, but it was a timeshare. Yeah. So if it was a timeshare out there, then it's for a specific week. Right. So they can determine when he was there. It's not like he owned a condo and he can just pop in anytime he wants. If it's timeshare, then he's got to go on whatever week. Like I have one, and mine is the 42nd week or 47th week. It's the week of Thanksgiving, and so that's when I have to go. So whatever his week was is gonna, put him there probably every year around that time, and it would be crazy. Pretty cool to be able to say, okay, yeah, he's got the 52nd week or the 50th week, and we've had, these people went missing for the past so many years during that week. So that would be pretty cool if they could put that together. But yeah,
I'm hearing rumors now that they're looking back to maybe possibly 1982. Yeah. And Terry's right. If this is true, he chose a population that is less likely to be reported missing. And it's very sad. It's very sad. These women, they move out to Vegas, they may have no way out, or men, they move out, they don't have a way out, they're homeless, they need to work, they can't get legitimate work, they may fall into drugs, they may have to do this type of work to support their drug habit, and it's terrible. You don't want to see people fall into that, but that's maybe a life choice that they have to make at that particular time. And a lot of these women and men these men and women prostitutes that turn up dead, they don't really ever find out what happened to them. And maybe this owns up, maybe this starts opening up. Laura says, I'm in Vegas, but it wasn't me, I promise. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and Laura can attest to it. As far as I know, I think the only place that prostitution is legal is actually Reno.
Right.
Reno, it's legal in Vegas. Las Vegas itself is not, or not. So anyway, but that doesn't stop the call girls from going, where the money is.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, again, they're gonna have a digital footprint, and if he's been surveilled as long as I think he's been surveilled, they've been building this case for quite some time.
Yeah. We're going to look at the PCA a little bit tonight too. I think it'd be good to look into that. Terry Dean said, I think he had a burner phone with him when he was arrested. I think I did hear something like that. Yeah, I did. I think I did hear something like that. Yeah. Hey, Tanya, how are you? Tanya had some great streams today. I was popping in on my break. Oh, Laura says, correct. Not legal in Clark County.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, Tanya has some great streams. You hit 10,000 subscribers yet, Tanya? When are we gonna have that celebration stream? Jeez, we gotta get
what's crazy about Vegas? You'll go 1 year and there'll be porn literature all over the place. It'll be in the bathroom stalls. It'll be laying on the floors, and then you go the next year and it'll be totally cleaned up. It's like no porn, no prostitutional, call girl advertisements, nothing. It's like 1 year they want to be family oriented or something. Next year it's like we're back to slum. It's crazy because I have to go up there to play ball. I used to go up there for business quite a bit too, when I was in the LP end of investigation. So, but now I go up there to play ball, and we have the World Series up there.
Nice. All right, let's see what Lauren Crime Network says here. Gilgo Beach murder suspect, best defense strategy in serial killings case. Let's see if we agree. This is Anjanette Levy. She does some great work over there on Lauren Crime. Let's work through this video here and see what she's got to say.
On Thursday, authorities arrested and charged 59-year-old New York architect Rex Heuermann with murder in connection to the killings of 3 of the 4 women who became known as the Gilgo Four. Heuermann is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and 3 counts of second-degree murder for the 2009 murder of Melissa Barthelemy and the 2010 murders of Megan Waterman and Amber Costello. He is also the prime suspect in the 2007 disappearance and death of Maureen Brainerd Barnes, but no charges have been.
And you got to think too, and I'm sorry I just thought about this, being all the casinos out there, the strip out there, they have cameras everywhere, bro.
Yeah.
So if they got this guy out there, I'm sure, if they can, like you said, if he's out there on a specific time, let's say he's out on that timeshare and, it's his week to be there, they can go back if there's any digital evidence and they can look back that far, which I'm probably sure the casinos probably go back forever with their DVR equipment. They'll be able to, they'll be able to pull up his movements in and out of those casinos, and maybe they catch him picking up a call girl and bringing her, unfortunately bringing her to his car or something like that. So I'm sure there's going to be major investigations in this if they have ties to Las Vegas.
Yeah, a buddy of mine retired from a local agency here and went there and became a pit boss.
So oh, wow.
He was telling these stories. I mean, it was like the DVRs are incredible. I mean, they can read the serial numbers on the bills. I mean, it's amazing.
They can read dates off pennies. It's unbelievable.
It's the technology is incredible. And then they're looking for scammers. So they have facial recognition when you walk into those resorts.
Yeah.
Those casinos,
they know who you are.
Everybody, and law enforcement taps into those. They use their loss prevention in those casinos and stuff to identify people. There's a good working relationship with them. We had a case here years ago where agencies reached out to us, we reached out to them, we helped them solve a case, and later we were rewarded because they helped us solve a case. So it's pretty cool.
So Laura says, one of the first things I remember about Vegas is when security told me the cameras are to protect us, not you.
And they're not lying.
Yeah. And if anybody doesn't remember, like the old days before cameras, if anybody doesn't know this, Vegas was very notorious in their casinos. They had things called catwalks. And what they used to do was they would actually put physical people up there with binoculars and they would watch the tables. And I think to this day, I think the Horseshoe, if I'm right, and Laura might be able to correct me, I think that's the only casino that still has the actual original catwalk there. I may be wrong on that. Maybe Laura can correct me, but yeah, really, really crazy stuff. I want to recognize Chosen Rosen, one of my channel moderators. He used his kind of highlight, his little highlight for his monthly contribution. He's a member for 4 months, and he said, "Hi all, hit the like and follow, follow Titanium Bill." Absolutely, let's get her to 10,000 subscribers, and let's get this channel to 10,000 subscribers. All right, let's keep
filed in that case just yet. Heuermann was actually interviewed last year for a show on YouTube entitled Bonjour Reality. Take a listen.
After all those years, what do you think is the most important qualities a person in your position dealing with the DOB must have?
Patience.
That's funny. I was hoping you would say that.
Yeah. Patience, and I don't like to use the word tolerance, but sometimes you have to.
Yeah.
And it's not just with the city, it's also with the client, because most clients, they don't understand what I have to do, why I have to do it, what it takes to get done.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with somebody in the city, whether it be a clerk at the counter who has to enter data entry, or if I'm dealing with the borough commissioner of Manhattan,
I want to see this interview.
You need the patience, because who knows what the person before you did. Sometimes they have very bad days. I've actually gone to the commissioner's office, sat down in his waiting area at 11:30 in the morning, and a little after 5 o'clock, I heard him finally holler out, "Is Rex still there?" That's how long I waited.
Oh God!
Because that particular client, I had to see the commissioner. They were the only ones who could give us an answer.
The investigation of the Gilgo Beach murder started back
when... What
other
serial killer does he remind you of? Who else was a contractor?
Yeah, Gacy.
Even the way that he articulates,
he articulates,
the way that he enunciates his words and he uses his hands. If you watch old video of him, he's a salesman. He's very convincing.
Yeah.
And this guy is very personable. He's an extrovert. And
oh wow.
He is very, very personable guy. Anybody's gonna like him when they first meet him. But I heard his neighbors hated him and threw a party because of his house, I guess, because it was like Sanford and Son or something.
Look at this. So Marlon says the speculation is that the Fed set up that interview to gather info. Wow.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I wouldn't be surprised on that at all.
Yeah.
Jeez. This case.
And when was? Do we have a date stamp on that? When that was?
I think that was 2000. Tanya might know. I think
because it doesn't look like him now. He actually looks older in that video than he does now, in my opinion.
Let me see what Anjanette Levy said here. Hang on. Let's play.
Just yet. Heuermann was actually interviewed last year for a show on YouTube.
Last year, 2022.
Of Manhattan.
Yeah.
You need the patience, because who knows what the person before you did. Sometimes they have very bad days.
Yes.
I've actually gone to the commissioner's office, sat down in his waiting area at 11:30 in the morning. And a little after 5 o'clock, I heard him finally holler out, "Is Rex still there?" That's how long I waited.
Oh God.
Because that particular client, I had to see the commissioner. They were the only ones who could give us an answer.
The investigation of the Gilgo Beach murders started back when an escort named Shannon Gilbert went missing in 2010 after leaving a client's home. While searching for her, they found a body, and then another, and then another, finding a total of 11 sets of remains. The Gilgo Four remains were found within a quarter mile of each other on Long Island's South Shore in December of 2010. All four were in burlap sacks. In 2011, 6 more sets of remains were recovered. Some of the women were last seen dating all the way back to the year 2000, and some partial remains were linked to another person's remains being discovered back in 1997. Most of the women were sex workers, in addition to one male victim and a female toddler. These killings shook the Long Island community over a decade ago, and then the killings seemed to stop. Finally, in 2023, the police arrested Rex Heuermann, who they believed to be the killer. For almost 10 years, the investigation went cold, but back in 20...
Why, DJ, why do they stop? Do they just get scared at a certain point? They feel like maybe things are closing in on them a little bit, or...
It's apparent in this case because he was kind of doing counter surveilling things. He was asking questions. He was doing unusual things to try and ascertain whether they were on him. Look at what he looked up online.
Yeah.
You know, he's trying to see that this other serial killer, if they're pinning these cases on him and keeping him out of the limelight. I mean,
go ahead.
Paranoia. There's certainly an amount of paranoia, I'm sure, when you're out there committing mass murders.
It's really strange too, because I think this is a really interesting study, is in the sense of, you know, with these serial killers, how they may have these long periods of time when they stop. Like BTK, had periods where he stopped for a very long time, and it must be just so, I guess, I don't know how to describe it, like weird or strange, that they have this desire that's inside them to commit these incredibly awful acts, and they must be fighting that urge all the time, because it's like a drug to them. It hits that sensor in their brain, you know, that dopamine. And I know it's really strange to talk like this, but it's the reality of what makes these types of people go. Unfortunately, murder for them is like when we drink a nice cold Coke and you get that feeling, or maybe, you know, unfortunately we say this, is like when a drug addict uses drugs. It's that same thing that's connecting in all those three elements. But it must be so weird to, you know, when you're in that frame of mind and you're involved in that, to, you know, to hold back that. It's incredible.
It's the adrenaline rush of the act that you will never attain again. After the first one, you'll never. It's like being a drug addict, and it's like that first high, because the reason why, you know, methamphetamine is such a potent drug is because people that do it, it's called chasing the dragon. You foil up, you know, some stuff in foil, and then the smoke is the dragon that's coming up, and you're sucking the smoke in. It's called chasing the dragon, and you know, it's that dragon that haunts them forever, and they'll never attain that high again. Yeah. So
that's why they keep chasing it and chasing it and chasing it.
They chase it, and they, you know, I never thought anything would ever be worse than crack and mess out here now. So yeah, it's probably a lot like that. You've absolutely nailed it. And I think that you're going to find, you know, and here's something else that I've always believed in. I'm all for the death penalty, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But if you're going to allow someone to live on death row for 25, 30 years and go through all this appellate process, pick his or her brain. Get in there like Hannibal Lecter. Get in there and give them commissary. Do whatever you want to do. Pick their brains. Figure this shit out. You know, because there's something about these people that is unique. You know, I mean,
and he's not saying that in like a positive way. It's just an interesting case study, is what he's trying to say. Right.
And it's there's something about them that push that their inability to have self-control. I mean, you know, there anybody that tells you it's like in a divorce, you know, the most dangerous time in a woman's life is during a divorce. It's the most dangerous time, period, hands down. And sometimes in a man's life. But you know what? A lot of men, and if a man tells you that they never, in a bitter divorce, a temperamental divorce, if any man tells you that they never even thought about offing their wives, they're probably lying. But you know, there are some people that act upon that, and there's some people that they're like, no, let's snap into reality. That's not gonna happen.
I'm sure it does happen in particular situations. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's I just feel like the psychology needs to be paramount when it comes to apprehension of these people, and they spend so much time on death row. It's not like they get put to death in 5 years, 10 years. You know, they usually outlive their victims' families, and that's sad.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. You know, that's the thing that really just gets me with all this. Like, what impulse? You know, it's something in their brain that's not wired correctly. That their impulse or their judgment or something. You know, it just triggers that same. It's crazy, dude. It's the same trigger that triggers when you eat sugar, you know, and you get that euphoric feeling of having a sugar rush. It's just strange.
It's an addiction. It's an addiction.
Yeah, it's really strange. It's really, really strange.
It's the, you know, chemicals in your brain do crazy things.
Yeah. All right, let's keep playing through this, and then maybe we can pull up that PCA and look through some of it. We'll page through some of it.
2020, authorities released a key clue and ID'd a victim. Using advanced forensic DNA technology, Suffolk County Police identified Jane Doe number 6 as Valerie Mack, who went missing back in 2000. The key clue found was a black leather belt with the letters WH or HM embossed on it. Then at the beginning of 2022, Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison made it a priority to investigate the Gilgo Beach murders. In March 2022, Rex Heuermann was first mentioned as a possible suspect. Investigators used cell phone evidence and credit card billing to reveal Heuermann was in the general location of the burner phones that were supposedly used to communicate with the victims. Authorities also found some unsettling internet searches on Heuermann's computer that included child pornography. The police surveilled Heuermann for almost a year. Finally, they had a breakthrough in January of 2023 when investigators got a sample of Heuermann's DNA from a piece of pizza crust that he threw in the trash outside of his office in Manhattan. The analysis of the DNA was matched from Heuermann's pizza crust and a strand of male hair recovered from the bottom of a burlap sack that one of the victims was found wrapped in. Here's Suffolk County District Attorney Raymond Tierney discussing the investigation.
Our partners and my office, we use the grand jury to continue to investigate, and we executed over 300 subpoenas, search warrants pertaining to this individual to find out more information. One of the things that we did is we followed him because we wanted to get an abandonment sample of his DNA, which we were able to do. We also got DNA samples, abandonment samples from his family. This really supported our decision to keep our investigative focus secret because we knew that one person would be watching and we didn't want to give him any insight into what we were doing. And we also didn't want him to know just how close we were getting. So we maintained the grand jury secrecy and we maintained the integrity of our investigation. In addition to those Gilgo searches, he was compulsively searching pictures of the victims, but not only pictures of the victims, pictures of their relatives, their sisters, their children, and he was trying to locate those individuals.
So finally, on July 13th of 2023, the owner of the New York City-based architecture and consulting firm RH Consultants and Associates, Rex Heuermann, was taken into custody. He seemed to be an unlikely suspect. Heuermann is a husband and father of 2. Heuermann claims he is not the killer. He was remanded without bail Heuermann has entered a not guilty plea through his attorney, and his next court appearance is set for August 1st. We, of course, will have that covered for you. Joining me to discuss ways in which this case could possibly be defended in a court of law is Julie Rendelman. She is a criminal defense attorney in New York City, also a former prosecutor and a good friend of Law and Crime and Sidebar. Julie.
I just got to do something really quick because one of my friends is in here, rising from the ashes. I gotta show her something. Let me just take this, remove this real quick. Hey, look what I got today. She knows what these are. My orange lobsters finally came in. Dude, these things are they're nuts. Look at this. She knows what they are. Look, it's got the lobster bands on them. So sick, bro. I'm a huge shoe guy, if anybody knows. So
nice.
Yeah, these finally came in. I'm gonna wear those gladly tomorrow. They were not cheap. But I'm glad to get them in my collection. So she'll know what they are.
Welcome back to Sidebar. Thanks for
now
coming.
you're gonna have people sending you shoes.
Thank you so
bro.
much for
Yeah,
having me.
send me all shoes you want. Hey, man.
He wants some 1986 Airs.
Right. If any shoe company wants to sponsor me, absolutely. We can work out a deal. Believe me. Hello, I'm a free agent. I am a free agent.
You as well. You've read the bail application in this case. How strong of a case do you think the state has here?
Based on everything we've seen so far, assuming it is true, the prosecution has an incredibly strong circumstantial case against the defendant.
Julie, in this case, we have cell phone evidence, we have DNA evidence, and in this day and age, the cell phone evidence is almost becoming the DNA evidence of 15, 20 years ago. These cell phones can be traced to people, they can be tracked to certain people. How do you fight this?
So it's difficult. And remember, we're dealing with not just cell phone, cell sites, cell towers. We're also dealing with the fact that there are burner phones that they're able to link between this defendant and I believe it's 3 of the alleged victims. And so you have more than just some scientific, arguments in terms of that he was near a cell tower, or he was near where one of the victims or all of the victims were found, because one can easily argue that he lives near them. How is it that they're going to be able to explain that he had burner phones as well that link him to each of those victims? Now, the argument is for a defense attorney is, A, it's the prosecution's burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he committed the crime, not that he just had contact with each of these individuals. And B, as a defense attorney, poking holes in that and establishing, even if you can accept that he had contact with the victims, you're still missing that link, proving beyond a reasonable doubt that he is the person that committed the crimes against each of these young women.
He is charged in the murders of 3 of these women at this point in time, but there are many more bodies possibly connected to this case. Do you anticipate possibly more arrests?
Wow.
Well, we've actually heard, I believe from law enforcement, that there's an expectation that there will be another crime solved. And it sounds like he's the person.
Yeah, you want me to go back? I'll just go back now. Here you go.
Okay. So I'm just kind of breaking down the roadway. So this is a divided roadway.
Yep.
And then here in this area,
I've traveled this road before.
Right. So you have.
It's crazy how close you are to the ocean when you drive down this road.
Are these considered lakes? Is that considered a lake,
or
is that just kind of? No, not to the east, or not to the east, but in between. On the other side of the road where the bodies are, what are those bodies of water? Is that a river there? I guess that's a river.
I mean, it's like an inlet. I guess maybe an inlet or something
like an intercoastal
waterway.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's probably definitely something man-made where they dug all that out, because you can see where, if you look here, like there's a dock. Though this looks all kind of man-made here.
Yeah, that's an intercoastal. That's exactly you're right. That's what that is. So yeah, so this is going to lead to an inlet at some point. Probably a big aerial view if we can get like a somebody pull up Google Earth. And
I got it. Inlet. I can do it. Let's see.
There's probably because this is like where I live. This is how it is where I live. We have the ocean. then we got A1A, then we got the intercoastal, and then we have the mainland. But in between is a barrier island, which is what you're seeing there. That's a barrier island in between that river or canal.
Real quick, Web Weaver 68. Oh wow, Laura Connor was gifted a membership from Web Weaver. That's really great. That's great. She's in the now she can look at the extra content I put out. That's really great. Yeah, so here's Gilgo Beach here. I'm sure it's probably one of the most looked at Google searches right now, but you can see, there's
Long the inlet right there. See the inlet down there to the left? Right here coming down. Take the waterway and go left, and you can see the inlet is coming out right. Keep going. Keep going.
Here.
Right here. There's the inlet.
Yep.
Okay. Those are some really high dollar homes right in there.
Oh, I've driven down this. It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That,
it's
that
beautiful.
marina.
I mean, this is beautiful.
I keep our boat. Keeping our boat as a 24-foot boat, and it's $600 a month to slip that.
So
boat.
I'm wondering that. Here's what I want to look at. I want to look at the position. We'll go back to that still on the live video. I want to see where he positions the bodies.
Right. That's why I wanted you to.
So you have them not on the ocean side, but almost in. And I wonder why he did that. In the sense where if you place them maybe on the beach, it would be too obvious. But you place them in maybe thinking, I mean, water's not going to really come up in there unless there's a major storm. It's almost like he kind of wanted them to be found, right?
So, yeah, obviously he's coming from the north to the south, right? That's north and south. Mm-hmm. So he's traveling southbound. And I wonder if there's like a little park where 1342 is, if there's some kind of a parking area or somewhere off the road where you could, like a Lover's Point, something like that.
I'm sure there's tons of those places down there.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily go where it merges back together. You could go for a walk on the beach, probably park your vehicle there, have a nice little romantic walk on the beach.
Well, there you go.
And then he could have actually taken them on a walk on the beach and killed them on the beach and then carried them back to those locations.
But he definitely 1,000% was familiar with this area, especially where you look at where the first 4 victims were found. Let's go back to the Google Earth and see if we can actually find that. So you have the marina to the right. Let's see if we can locate that a little bit better on the map here and see what about that maybe specific area is. So you had that marina that's here. It looked like, I mean, it's just a lot of brush in and around.
That's a perfect place to bury a body in a burlap bag, because what's going to happen is decomposition is going to be accelerated because of the, all the moisture. And that's a great place to hide a body.
Crazy.
I mean, depends on how deep you're going to dig, but
it's all it's all marshland through here too. It's all wetlands, marsh. Probably gets tons of overgrowth. I mean, we saw in some of the videos
where's the first group?
I think the first grouping was over in here, this area here.
Oh, you see that little side street though? Is that a walkway?
This?
Look, the black asphalt next to the road, right? Go down where you see.
Yeah, it's like a bike path.
That's a bike path.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you figure maybe, he comes off into this little area. The beach is here. You're walking along. Right. Boom. Can walk along this path, come out to the bike path.
Right.
And so, you park your car right there, bro. You just park your car and walk right in.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it merges right off there. And the northbound looks like it's a 4-lane and the southbound is a 2-lane. Yeah. Is that right?
This looks like a 2-lane. Yep. Or a 2-lane.
No, that's a 4-lane.
That's a 4.
That's a 4-lane. The other one's, yeah.
It's crazy. Wow.
I bet you there's some kind of a significance to that area from his childhood. There's something about that. And where the bodies, go back to where the bodies were laid out again, chronologically, as far as so 6 and 7, what are the dates on those?
Date on 6.
4, that's the top of the page to the right.
Yep. It's a quarter of a mile, 6 and 7. They're just telling the distance between the bodies.
But doesn't it have a date?
Oh, 4/4/20,
possibly more arrest.
2011.
So 2011, these are 2010. So you've got, are these the dates that the bodies were found, or the dates that they went missing?
I think probably
because you got 12/13, 12/13, 12/11, 12/13, 12/13, 4/4, and the top two were
11.
4/4. And what's this one on? What's this other one here? It doesn't. I can't see a date on that.
4/4/11.
Right. This and number 8 is 4/4/11 too. So that must be the dates that they found them.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too, because it's so close to each other. So they went out there digging at a specific time, and then they said, "Holy shit, there's a person! Holy shit, there's a person here! Whoa, there's another person!"
The cadaver dog stumbled on them.
Yeah. Right.
Actually, I think didn't the cadaver dog, from what I heard, found the baby just kind of by accident. They were looking, and he kept staggering upon more and more bodies.
Just crazy.
There's going to be a huge body trail. I'm telling you right now, this guy may wind up being, I don't want this to sound too eerie, one of the most prolific
I said it today.
serial killers of all time.
I said it today because I said this today. I was saying it to a coworker today. This guy may turn out to be the most prolific serial killer of all time. It could be hundreds of people that he did this to. Yeah. Because you got to start looking. Like I said, you're like we were saying at the beginning of the show, you're out in Vegas, you have that timeshare, you have that home or that timeshare out there. I mean, it's just prime pickings for someone like this. You know, and now they're looking at out in South Carolina as well too.
He will be in the top 5. I guarantee you that. He will
if it is him, right? If it is him,
allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
And he seems like the type of person that once he concedes, if he ever concedes to guilt, that he will talk in the end.
I think so too.
He just seems like that type of person, because if you patronize that guy and you get him, you develop a rapport with him, that's the perfect suspect to interview right there, because he likes to talk. You saw the interview that he had. He was all over it. He ate it up.
Ate it up big time. All right, let's pull up this PCA. I want to
just
look
like BTK. BTK ate it up too. Once he started talking, you couldn't shut him up.
All right, let's see. Discovery of the victims. On December 11, 2010, police officer John Mulatto was conducting a training exercise with his canine partner Blue on Ocean Park in Gilgo Beach, Suffolk County, New York. During the course of the training exercise, Blue located a set of human remains. Wow.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. So it was kind of accidental. And that happens often.
If you weren't down there for this training exercise, this never would have had, it would have been probably years later that this all was found.
If ever. Right.
So the remains later identified as Melissa Bartholomew. 2 days later, on December 13, 2010, the SCPD continued to search in the proximity where the remains of Melissa were recovered. On that date, members of the SPC found 3 additional sets of human remains within a quarter mile of the first discovery. You see the image below. These additional set of remains were identified as those as Maureen Brainerd Barnes and Megan Waterman and Amber Costello. The cause of death of all 4 women determined to be homicide by violence. Wow.
I would probably say, I forgot what the size of those burlap bags were we pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think an entire body would fit in. So I bet you he dismembered them and put them in the bags. So what are we looking for? We're looking for probably a Sawzall or something like that on these search warrants. And he probably dismembered. And then I also read today that he had 2 storage units that he paid $800 a piece. So he had $1,600 a month in storage units. So, and these victims were not clothed. So I'm betting you that he's probably got, some trophies that he's keeping. He's keeping souvenirs of all these victims somewhere. Hell, he's got that doll. He might, I'm just speculating. He might have their clothes laid out or on mannequins or something like that. And
so creepy.
Yeah, it would be creepy, but this guy's kind of weird.
So it goes on to talk about they're identifying the females of possibly being sex workers. There was missing clothing, personal possessions, all killed by homicide. All had contact shortly before the disappearance with the person using a burner cell phone. Cell phones without associated verified identity, and cell phones of the 2 of the 4 victims. Excuse me. Let's go through here. In January 2022, FBI investigation. March 14, 22, approximately 2 months after the joint investigation. Disappearance of Costello, first generation. A Chevy Avalanche as the vehicle believed to have been driven by the killer. This discovery led to comprehensive investigation of defendant Heuermann, which consisted of over 300 subpoenas, search warrants, and other legal possessions to obtain evidence. As discussed fully more below, among the items uncovered were cell phone bill records for defendant Heuermann corresponding to cell site locations. And I used to say, we're going to run parallel here. There have been phone records of BK taken as well, too. Arranged meetings with 3 of the 4 victims, the taunting calls made to relatives of Mrs. Bartholomew, a call made to by a detective cell phone while looking into her disappearance, calls checking voicemails, phones after disappearance. In addition, Heuermann lived in Massapequa Park, where the victims were believed to have disappeared from, and he worked in Midtown Manhattan, in the vicinity of where the taunting calls were made. Wow, this is crazy, bro. It just goes on to list about
good point, Tanya, saying remind me to check if the bike path was there in 2010. That does look like a freshly paved asphalt bike path, but you're right, it was probably a dirt road. It probably wasn't a bike path.
So it goes on to talk about the disappearance of each victim and what ties them to Heuermann. But I want to get into those the Google searches. What's this? According to witness later. Yeah, this is a really big PCA. Let's see.
I just can't believe he's gone this long and there's not any more bodies. And there's got to be more bodies. There's got to be fresh bodies somewhere. This guy hasn't stopped.
And then you're going to look at New York City. I mean, Christ's sakes, DJ, he was in New York City all the time, in the city.
Yeah.
So you got to start looking at
cases to lose a body there,
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to hold firm that this guy is going to be one of the top, probably in the top 5 prolific serial killers, allegedly, of all time.
Let's see. American Express.
And the only reason he may stop is he may be frail compared to what he was 10 years ago. Maybe he's just not as strong, as dominant, older. Right. And he's going after these young girls and they can fight back.
Right.
So, and I know he had over 200 guns, but they haven't said what the cause of death was yet. I'm sure.
I think most of them been strangulation is what they're saying so far.
So the bone in the neck is going to be crushed. They'll be able to determine that. But if there's holes in the head and it's not gunshots, it's going to be that cabinet hammer that we pulled up yesterday.
Yeah.
That he talks about. That's still eerie. That is so eerie, him saying
the decision maker. What did he say? It was the decision maker?
I don't know if any of the viewers went on yesterday when we pulled that up. But
let me see if I can find that video again.
And then find that hammer again, because
it's creepy, bro. Yeah, it's super creepy. Let me see. When did he talk about the hammer? You know what I'm super excited about?
If she filed for divorce, his wife filed for divorce today, those records will be dropped pretty soon.
Right.
The divorce that she, the paperwork she filed. I'd be interested to see what she's saying. I wonder if it's irreconcilable differences.
right? Let me see. Let me go out here and see if I can find it. Rex.
Isn't he also referred to as the Craigslist killer? Isn't that one of his names
That
too?
was the guy in Boston.
But wasn't he picking these girls up on weren't they on Craigslist?
It was like it was Tinder. It was using like Tinder. It's actually right here in the PCA, like this part right here.
Because I heard him name off all the names for him, and I heard him say the Craigslist too, and I'm like, so they were putting themselves on Craigslist? And I don't know. I heard that
Tinder.
today.
It's Tinder right here. It says American Express records obtained via the subpoena revealed that recurring Google payments made by defendant Heuermann to Tinder, an online dating social networking application, and find dates or hookups within the immediate vicinity. Let me see if I can find this. I want to see if this is the video. Yeah, I got it. I got the video. Oh shit, this is not it.
Listen to this. If you guys weren't on last night and didn't hear this, this is.
Let me see if I can find it.
This is just insane. And if they did facilitate this interview, that was brilliant.
Let's see.
I can't remember what led up to him saying that or the question.
I'm trying to find it. Yeah, let me see. Hang on. Let's see. Where's that damn hammer video?
Yeah, somebody said here he also was part of the Craigslist Ripper. Was his other name? That's what Michelle says.
Wow.
Is that correct, Michelle? That's what we're talking about, correct? So he was referred to as the Craigslist Ripper.
Wow. Sorry, I'm trying to find a video that we played yesterday. It's actually pretty haunting, and I want everybody to hear it, but of course it's lost in the huge Google search now. I'm trying to do my best here to find it and not.
Well, while you're looking for it, I'll kind of describe it. So a question was asked, and he basically said, sometimes I have to convince people, and and he said I got it. I got it.
You got it.
He describes a hammer.
Yeah.
And when you see this hammer, you'll understand.
Yeah, it'll persuade people.
The persuader.
Right, the persuader. Let's play this. Okay.
Back workshop.
So
I have one tool that's pretty much used in almost every job, and it's actually a cabinet maker's hammer.
Okay. Cabinet maker hammer. Okay.
It is persuasive enough when I need to persuade something.
Not someone.
Something. And it always yields excellent results.
Christ. Let's play that again.
Freaky people. That is so freaky.
That's pretty much used in almost every job. And it's actually a cabinet maker's hammer.
Cabinet maker hammer. Okay.
It is persuasive enough when I need to persuade something.
Not someone.
Something. And it always yields excellent results.
Jeez, dude.
And you wonder what's flashing through his mind, him caving people's skulls.
Yeah, caving people's skulls in.
Pull that hammer. You still have that hammer right there?
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it. Cabinet hammer.
If you watch his eyes, he's actually looks like he's thinking about using that. Because I've gone through body language and I understand people, with their eye movements and stuff. And he actually went. If you watch him, he takes it. Pull it up again.
I got it.
He takes himself to a place when he's telling that story.
It's nuts.
He's putting himself there.
That's a tack hammer.
That's not. Yeah, that's a tack hammer.
I mean, it's a cabinet hammer. Cabinet hammer.
Yeah, cabinet hammers was a more like a mini sledge with a pointed end.
I think I got it. That's a tack hammer. Go Granger. Let's see what Granger has. Come on, Granger.
I think it was Granger that you found it on.
I'll play that interview again in a second. Let's look at that and analyze it a little bit. Come on, mother trucker. All right. Let me find this cabinet hammer again. Let's see. Professional. Here we go. None of my sites want to load. Come on. This is a fucking video. I don't want a video. I want a photo. All right. Nothing like stalling the show, Brian. Good job. Yeah.
But when we do pull the video back up,
cabinet hammer's like this right here. This right here. That's
right.
A cabinet
That's
hammer.
it.
It's like a mini sledge. It's crazy.
That would crush a skull
very
easily.
Yeah.
And it's a short throw hammer, so that means it's not this long. It's short and quick.
Same exact workshop.
So
I have one tool that's pretty much used in almost every job.
Watch his eyes.
And it's actually a cabinet maker's hammer.
Okay. Cabinet maker hammer. Okay.
It is precise enough when I need to persuade something.
Not someone.
Something.
Do you see how he turned away when he said not someone?
Right. And then watch his lips. Go back a little bit and watch what he does with his tongue.
Yeah, he flicks his tongue.
Flicks his tongue.
Right there.
And it always...
See it?
He's taken everyone. I'm telling you right now, he's taking himself to a place that he used that hammer. That gives him a rise. That makes him...
Yeah, he's feeling it again.
Makes him feel, superior.
Again, allegedly, if this is the guy. Yeah. Allegedly.
Right.
Allegedly. We're speculating.
And you know what? This guy may not be, and I'm speculating. I'm just saying he may not be killing and having sexual relations with these girls. He may just be doing it for the pure
pleasure
power.
Of killing. Right.
The power that he feels over because these are all petite women. None of them are anyone that could really. It's a power
thing. It's a power thing. He wanted victims that were powerless. You got to think they're female sex workers. Potentially, a lot of them are on drugs. They're not strong. This is someone
nobody's going to care about them.
Right. Someone completely overpower them in a second and take them over. All right, let's watch that again. Hang on.
Something.
Not someone.
Something.
Right.
And it
always
not someone.
Something.
Yeah.
And it always yields excellent results.
Jesus. Go back.
When I need to persuade something.
Not someone.
Something. And it always yields excellent results.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's like I got chills, man. I absolutely got chills. And the tongue flick was, look at the camera, Brian. I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you remember your eighth grade? Do you remember your eighth grade? Your first girlfriend in eighth grade. You remember her name?
Oh God. Yeah, I do.
What was her name?
Becky
First
Hart.
name.
That's
Becky
fine.
Hart.
She's yeah.
Do you remember your do you remember your English teacher in eighth grade?
Oh God. Yeah, actually I do.
What was her name?
Miss T.
All right. So everyone watch his eyes. So when he's recalling fact, let me ask you another question.
Oh no.
You ready? Okay. So your first time you were pulled over, do you remember when that was? What year?
Oh boy. I don't remember the first time, but I remember like specific ones that I can remember.
Okay, try to remember a specific one.
Yep, I got it.
All right, when was it?
Probably about 2001.
All right. So if you watch Brian's eyes when you're doing an interview, when you're recalling fact, you use a certain portion of your brain. When you're constructing an answer, you use another portion of your brain. And your eyes will go in the direction Like his eyes went up and to the right, and it's opposite. So he's using the fact-finding portion of his brain. So in an interview in Brian that he is recalling when I asked him a specific question and wanted him to be detailed, like with dates, things like that, his eyes went up and to the right because he's trying to find it. He's searching his memory. He's trying to find it. Now, if I'm asking him a question and he's not telling the truth and he's going to have to construct an answer, his eyes will do the total opposite. So when you watch him in his interview that we just did, I'm picking up right away. I'm picking up right away that he took himself to a place. He's making up a story, but at one point he took himself somewhere and he did the tongue flip. And he's like, I did that with that hammer. And bam, it was persuasive. It was effective. Yep, I did it.
Yep.
That's just my theory.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, what do we got here? So this is going to talk a little bit about how they added the burner phones in, his online activity through the dating sites. Oh, wow.
Somebody said I've been watching the behavior panel. I don't know what that is. What is that?
It's a YouTube channel. So they have completely blacked out. The version that I have is completely blacked out here. I'm sure because it has a lot of what we're seeing here on the screen. You all can read that there. I'm not going to say the words, but I'm sure that's a lot. But we've seen the redacted information of the searches. I probably just have a older version of this PCA, but maybe Tanya can send me one over that's not redacted. But it's interesting. It's a hell of a PCA. Look at this.
Yeah, see, this is the difference between this PCA and the BK PCA. Okay, this is a PCA that does a culmination of
years
multiple
of investigation,
jurisdictions and a task force put together. And this is very well put together, and it's very telling. And there's the press conference was, very rehearsed, and he was ready to go. Whereas the BK case,
phones? He's buying burner phones here. He's inside a phone store.
Looks like it, yeah.
Cash too.
T-Mobile store. Something.
Cash. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
crazy. They got him buying cash. I'm telling you, and that's what I mean. If this guy is out in Vegas, they're gonna have him everywhere out there on camera.
Yeah, but that's like finding a needle in a haystack
yeah.
in Vegas, Sure. Unless, of course it won't be. They'll find it.
A lot of redacted. But yeah, I'm not going to sit and read through the whole thing. I'm sure you all have seen this. We've seen plenty of shows on this as well, too, talking about the PCA. Male hair linked to defendant Heuermann. That's the pizza. There it is. That's how they get the pizza.
So they were surveilling him, and they saw him discard that box. And they reached in. That's abandoned property. They took
it is.
And got his DNA.
Son of a gun.
I'm sure they got his DNA off of that foil and everything else too. But the saliva DNA would have been on the pizza crust.
Yeah. You're right there. Laboratory sent the swab from the pizza crust abandoned by defendant Heuermann to Forensic Laboratory 2. It was determined to be male hair on Waterman and a swab from the pizza crust. So they're just matching all the hairs to the victim because they did find his hair. Look at this. Based on the foregoing, while 99.96% of the North American population can be excluded from the male hair on Waterman, it is significant that defendant Heuermann cannot be excluded from the male hair recovered on the bottom of the burlap utilized to restrain and transport Megan Waterman's naked and deceased body. Wow.
Whoa, wait. That said that his hair was on one of them? His hair? Or
yeah, his hair's his hair excluded from male hair on Waterman.
He's a done deal.
A portion of male hair on Waterman to forensic laboratory too for testing. Jeez, man, he's done.
Yeah, he's. But there will be creators out there that'll say he's innocent.
Of course. Yeah, well, I mean, it's the department that. Come on, Detective John. It's the department that did it. This is a conspiracy.
Yeah, right?
It's a conspiracy.
No, they've been following this guy for years, and they just they plucked hairs, they did all this stuff.
You know who's gonna get blamed for it? You know who's gonna get blamed for it, right? Brian Koberger. Of course, he did all of this. No. Remember, he did all of this. Now, obviously, we're being trying to be funny and not making funny, but I'm just you guys know what we mean.
I heard one today. I heard a creator today say, I just don't want any of you viewers to be so naive as to believe that a woman couldn't have committed these crimes. And I just about lost my freaking. I was eating. I spit my food out. I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me, dude?"
Unbelievable.
Yeah, break.
Let's do this. I'm going to wrap up the show in about 9 minutes. We have DJ on. If you guys have any questions for DJ or myself, why don't we do a quick 9-minute question and answer session? Why don't you drop your questions down below? It's free form. So if you have anything about this case, again, I don't know too much about it. I'm just learning about it over the last couple of days. So I might be able to answer some of them, or maybe some particular behaviors or something like that. Or if there's something in Idaho that you want answered while we have John here, drop your chat down there. Drop your question below, put a Q, and then type your question. We'll wait about another 9 minutes before we wrap this up. I want to keep this under an hour and a half, but I want to let everybody know I will be back the next 2 days, whaling streams here. So I might have some midday streams, definitely going to do my 9 o'clock spots. And I think tomorrow afternoon, I may do a members only. I have some other theory in the Koberger case that I'm going to share with Detective John when I get offline. I'm not going to share it with all of you, but if you see a members only pop up in the next 48 hours, be sure to come over if you are a member and watch that members only live, because I'm going to let out a new theory out there, and it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. You're not going to want to miss that. If you want to become a member, you can down there below. Hit the join button. Memberships are only $1.99, only $1.99 a month. We'll wait a couple more seconds here, see if any questions pop up. If not, we'll wrap this one up. DJ, what do you think?
Yeah.
Cool.
You want me to opine on what we're
we'll wait and see if anybody has any questions for me or DJ. Drop them in the chat. All right, we got a question here. Got to wait to pull it up here in a second. So Janet says, question, I am still confused about how long it took them to find this man. How did they find him now after so long? I think it was a combination of connecting, like we just looked, it's DNA. I think they had a set of eyes on this guy for a little while. I have to really fully read through the PCA, but connecting, all of that evidence together and kind of stringing this together, looking at all those burner phones, looking at his cell phone records, just a conglomerate of this evidence that started to point in the direction of this guy. And then obviously the human hairs, and just getting
what they can do with burner phones is they can determine where they were purchased and when they were purchased.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily know who purchased them, but you just saw a video right there of him purchasing burner phones with cash. So that's one of the ways, they found him through the digital footprint. And I would suspect, back in the day when prostitutes were walking the streets, they carried pagers. And so their Johns would all have a number. So, Brian, you would be number 1 or 69, whatever it would be. And somebody else would be something else. And that's how they would identify their Johns. What he was doing, and I'm speculating, but he was providing burner phones to these call girls, and they were unique to him. They were his phones, only to be used for his contact.
Right.
And that's part of the control factor. So that's how, to answer her question, that's how I believe they got him, was digital footprint. And then once they established that, they had DNA, and they did garbology, which they were surveilling him to get that garbology, and then they bam, just like BK, like BK. And they didn't need to do any family tree stuff. And it's just like with BK, they didn't really need to do that either. Everyone's hitting on that. It doesn't matter. They don't want to use it. They don't need to use it. It's irrelevant. Once they developed a lead and they determined that BK had a white Elantra as well, that's a pretty good lead right there. So all you got to do is get DNA, which you've got, and compare it to him and do garbology like they did here, which they did. And bam. And then they did a buccal swab, which is the mouth swab, and they nailed him once he was incarcerated.
Yeah.
They don't need any of the other stuff.
Absolutely. So Jessica has a question. It's a question. I've been wondering about Ted Bundy in the sorority house. Now did the victim's roommates not call 911 until the next day? I think this is talking about Idaho. That's the $1 million question. We really don't know at this point.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
We really don't know.
Doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter that they called 911 or didn't call 911. It's absolutely, there's no bearing on that case as to why they didn't call 911, and we're going to know why, and we're all going to go, oh, well, that makes sense. But to make this big event out of the, any of the girls not calling 911 is ridiculous. Wouldn't have changed a damn thing. It might have gotten caught that night, but it wouldn't have changed, the fact that we've got 4 people dead.
So rising from the ashes, I'm confused how he's an architect, yet his house and front porch is held up by 2x4s. So I'll answer that one, and then maybe DJ wants to go in. You have to look at these particular types of people. What is the one thing they don't want to do? They don't want any attention on them. So if this is a type of person that is this, notorious serial killer, why would you put yourself up in this, big house or mansion? Drive around in a fancy car? You wouldn't do any of that because you want to blend in. It's what a lot of these guys do, or women do, is they want to blend in with just the natural surroundings of their neighborhood. So what better yet? Mother's house, I'll just continue to live in it. No one's going to notice anything. I come and go. No one's going to really question anything, things of that type of nature. Am I hitting the right direction there, DJ?
Yeah, he wants to lay low.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that when he talked to the call girls, he's this well-off, probably lives in a penthouse apartment or what have you, and that's his work truck. That's one of his trucks that he uses to go to job sites. So I'm sure he's talked himself up. He's a suit and tie.
Yeah,
and he's very unassuming, other than his size. I mean, the man he's 6'6". He's a big boy.
Right. Angel asks, what kind of father you think he was to his wife and kids? Are psychos like him able to pretend enough to be a family? Absolutely. The perfect example is this, and you can not Google it, but you can go on YouTube, type in the Iceman Confessions, Richard Kuklinski. Now, he was a mob hitman. He was a hitman for the Italian mob. I forget what family he was a hitman for, and he killed over, I think they said around like 100 people. But he was a family man. He went out, he did his kills, and he went home, and he would put, I think there was a section in the interview where he said, I went out and killed someone, and I was frustrated, but I wasn't frustrated the fact that he wasn't going to pay me the money that night. I was more frustrated the fact that when I got home and I was putting toys together for my kids that Christmas Eve, that I couldn't get this toy together. That's how cold and callous this person is.
Didn't care. Didn't care. You can also look at somebody like I mentioned before, BTK. BTK was a dog catcher, and he was a family man.
So Lisa's saying, question, good evening, guys. Is Detective John married? He says the sexiest voice over. He sounds so young.
No, I'm not married. But I do have a girlfriend.
No, we're single. All right. So I'm single. Detective John has a girlfriend. Right. So let's see.
But thank you.
Yes. All right. That looks like it's all the questions. Yeah.
We're at the speakers up to the
We're at 1:30. We're going to wrap this one up. I want to thank everybody for being here this evening. I'll probably be back midday. I do have something planned. Maybe I'll do an afternoon show, and I'll definitely be back tomorrow night for a live show. I haven't thought of what the subject's going to be. I definitely want to squeeze in another Idaho show, so maybe not tomorrow night. We'll do that on I'm off on Friday, so maybe we do that Friday night, or definitely do an Idaho show on Saturday night, because that's usually the big night. But I want to thank everybody this evening for coming out and hanging out with us. I definitely want to thank Detective John for jumping on with me. He always gives great panels when he's here. Tanya was here earlier in the chat. Go over and subscribe to her channel, Titanium Built, if you haven't done that. She's so close to 10,000 subscribers. When she hits that 10 Gs, we're going to go over there and help celebrate with her. I want to thank all my mods that were in the room. I want to thank all my members that were in the room. Thank you, everybody. You guys make this channel go. You support the channel. We appreciate it. And I'll be back sometime tomorrow.
What do you got, Brian? 7814, 7,814?
I am at right? My current count right now is 7817. So we gained 3 while we're on live today. So we're getting there. We're getting there.
So everybody, if you've got a husband, a wife, a kid, you know, let's get Brian to 10,000. That really helps him. So get your family members. I mean, even if they don't watch the show, get them to go out and you know,
just go subscribe. And let's get Tanya there too. We got to get Tanya to 10,000.
Tanya too.
So damn close. But
network.
Yeah, network. I want to thank DJ for being here. I want to thank all you guys again. If you're watching this on replay, comment down below, #replay. If not, you'll catch it up on the re-upload. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to think of the subject, what I'm going to do, but you know, it will be something great. And look tomorrow afternoon. I may do a pop-up afternoon stream. All right, everybody be safe, be free, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Hey, y'all. Glad you got to see you.